forever chemicals. It's a phrase that sounds ambiguous and ominous. Some of these pollutants, known as PFAS chemicals, are used in cleaning supplies, stain-resistant clothing, cosmetics, polishes, waxes, and the kind of foam that firefighters use to fight fires. And although they have practical applications, these forever chemicals present a major problem. They don't go away. They don't break down. Once they're introduced into the environment, they stick around forever. And a growing body of research suggests that forever chemicals are linked to a whole host of human health complications: cancer, kidney disease, liver damage, birth defects. Sadly, it's estimated that most people already have trace amounts of these chemicals in their bodies. But imagine if you or your children were forced to ingest these toxic forever chemicals multiple times a day, every day. That's the dangerous reality for many American families. I'm sorry to report it, they include thousands of families in my home state of Illinois. On Friday, the Chicago Sun-Times published a story on the presence of these chemicals in water systems in the Chicago area: Lake Forest, Waukegan, South Elgin. Water system managers in these areas have found enough evidence of the chemicals that the Illinois EPA is calling for further testing. That additional testing is just in the preliminary stage. As I mentioned, these contaminants are impressively imperishable, and they're being found everywhere. As an example, a few years ago, a dairy farmer in Maine discovered one of these forever chemicals had seeped into his farmland through a fertilizer that he'd used. He only found out because the chemicals were showing up in the milk of his cows. He ended up having to shut down his dairy farm that had been in the family for generations. He had to destroy his dairy herd, and he lost his savings. If these contaminants are too dangerous for a dairy farm, too dangerous for cows, they're certainly too dangerous for our kids. We must protect our communities and families from forever chemicals immediately. Unfortunately, eliminating this public health threat is proving challenging. For one, in Illinois, it's not clear where they came from. According to the Sun-Times article, I quote, "Among the water systems managers contacted by the newspaper, none of them could identify the culprit causing the contamination. The Environmental Working Group has identified more than 1,700 potential sources in my state, from sewage treatment facilities to landfills. The culprit could be anyone or a combination. As of now, there's no definitive answer." In other words, the analogy is an arsonist still running through the forest, and the only signs are the trees he leaves burning. The other difficulty in remedying this public health threat is it costs money. As we all learned from Flint, Michigan, repairing and replacing an entire city's drinking water system is no small task. Municipal officials throughout my state are still waiting on state officials to provide guidance, as well as funding, to remove these forever chemicals from their water system. But when it comes to protecting our children's health and well-being, solutions cannot wait, and states like Illinois cannot address this threat on their own. Pending before the United States Senate at this moment is the bipartisan infrastructure deal. This deal is good for us, good for America, and starts to address this problem. This historic bipartisan plan will make our nation's largest ever investment in clean water. That investment includes $10 billion for addressing the forever chemical challenge and other emerging contaminants from drinking water and wastewater systems throughout America. That's a big deal. It's estimated that more than 200 million Americans, nearly 2/3 of this country's population, could be drinking forever chemicals in their tap water. With the bipartisan infrastructure deal, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are coming together as we should to help ensure every family in America has access to clean and safe drinking water. Because the infrastructure package will also invest billions of dollars to replace dangerous, decaying lead service lines throughout the country, it's a game changer. Game changer for the city of Chicago. I'm proud to represent my home state of Illinois. You see, there's no acceptable level for lead consumption. None. Zero. Much like forever chemicals, lead service lines that hook up the water main in the street to your home, business, school, daycare center, these lead service lines can cause lasting harm to the growing bodies and minds of our kids. And as lawmakers, we have an obligation to correct the mistakes made by previous generations of Americans. I understand that until about 35, 40 years ago, lead service lines were mandated in construction in Illinois, in my state, in some areas. We made a mistake. Now we know it. What are we going to do about it? This bill addresses it. And I want to thank my colleague, Senator Tammy Duckworth, while I'm on the subject. When it comes to commitment to water infrastructure, she is just leading the pack in the United States Senate. She really cares about this. As a senator, for sure, but equally important as a mom of two lovely little girls. We can establish a new, healthier foundation for future generations if we pull together. That's exactly what this bill will do. Marshaling the resources of our federal government so that all of America's kids can grow up and lead healthy, productive lives. That's what bipartisanship is all about. And I look forward to joining my colleagues in voting in favor of this bill, either in just next few days. Mr. President, I yield the floor.